In the last video, we looked at taking a whole number and dividing it into fractional parts. The other thing that you need to know is, well, what if the fraction came first? What if we started with a fraction and we wanted to break a fraction into equal parts? So we've got two examples up here. This is dividing a fraction by a whole number. Okay, we have 1/2. We want to break 1/2 into 3 equal parts. And then the second example, we have 3/5. We want to take 3/5 and break it into 4 equal parts. It's very similar to what we just did with the first part in the last video, but it's important that you see both sides of it so that you understand. So first, let's take a look at 1/2 divided into 3 parts. So let's make a picture of that and see what that looks like. So here I made 2 rectangles the same size, and let's just say that together this is equal to one whole thing. Okay, so this is one whole thing here, and I broke it into 2 equal parts, and so each part represents a half. Okay, so I'm going to just look at one of these halves right now because my problem just says to take 1/2 and divide it into 3 equal parts. All right, so I'm going to use this one on the left. And if I take it, and this won't be perfect, but do the best I can. So now I've taken 1/2 and broken it into 3 equal parts. When you do that, you have to pretend like you went ahead and broke the whole thing into equal parts as well. So if I took 1/2 of the total object, let's say it was a candy bar, let's say I took half of the candy bar and broke it into 3 equal parts, then I have to do the same thing to the other one. So I also take the other half and break it into 3 equal parts. And so now, if I look at the 1/2 side that I was talking about, I broke it into 3 equal parts. It's going to equal, how many parts did I end up with? Well, if I'm dividing it by 3, then each part is going to be equal to 1/6 of the whole thing. So each part is 1/6 of the whole thing. Because I took 1/2 and broke it into 3 equal parts, I had to take the other half, and do the same thing. All right? So let's think about what our shortcut was when we divided a whole number by a fraction. We do the same shortcut that we did for the other one. Let me show you. So if I say 1/2 divided by 3, that's like saying 1/2 times, I got to think about what is 3. 3 would be 3 over 1, but I need the reciprocal of 3 over 1, which would be 1/3. And then I can do my multiplication. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 3 is 6. And so 1/2 divided by 3 is the same thing as saying 1/2 times 1/3, which gives me 1/6. All right, so let's take a look at the next one. 3/5 divided by 4. Now on this one, I'm not going to do the drawing on it because it does get a little bit complicated when you start getting into it, but I would have to draw a whole bunch of equal parts. So on this one, I'm just going to skip right to the shortcut. Okay, so we have 3/5 divided by 4 is going to be equal to 3/5. I can say I'm doing the reciprocal, so I'm going to say times. This would have been 4 over 1. And if I flip it upside down, it becomes 1/4. 3 times 1 is 3. 5 times 4 is 20. So if I had taken something that had originally been broken into 5 equal parts, and I wanted to break it into 4 more parts, then the whole thing would have had to have been broken into 4 more parts. So that would have been 5 4 times, which would have been 20. So instead of talking about 3/5, now I'm talking about 3/20 because I divided it by 4. All right, so let's take a look at this. I want Miss Tate to pause the video, and then you're going to go back and take a look at your notes. Go ahead and get out your notes that you took on dividing a whole number by a fraction. Okay. Dividing a whole number by a fraction. When we did the shortcut, notice that here, the whole number didn't change. It stayed just like it was. 3 was 3. We just made it 3 over 1. What we did is we changed the symbol and we did the reciprocal. That's the number we flipped, the one that was behind the division sign. Okay? The same with 3 divided by 3/4. 3 stayed the same. Here's 3 here. When we just put it over 1 to make it a fraction, but it didn't change. 3 over 1 is the same thing as 3. We changed the symbol, and then we flipped, took the reciprocal of the fraction that was behind the multiplication symbol or behind the division symbol. Okay? We do the exact same thing when we are dividing a fraction by a whole number. Okay? So let's look at our examples here. The 1/2 stayed the same. Here's 1/2 in the beginning. It still stayed the same. I didn't flip it. What I did was I changed the symbol and I flipped what was behind the symbol. I changed 3, took the reciprocal of it, and made it 1/3. Same thing with the second problem that we did. 3/5. Here's 3/5 here. It stayed the same in my new problem. I changed the symbol, and then I took the reciprocal of 4, which was 4 over 1 flipped to 1/4, and then I did my multiplication. All right? So in both types of problems, 3 divided by 1/3, 1/3 divided by 4. Let's do it like that. In both cases, what's in front does not change. I've got a 3 here. It's going to be 3 over 1. My symbol changes, and then I take the reciprocal of 1/3, flip it upside down, that's 3 over 1. And then you can do the multiplication, and that equals 9. 1/3 divided by 4. I'm going to leave 1/3 alone. It stays just like it was. I change the symbol from division to multiplication, and then I take the reciprocal of 4. This would be 4 over 1. I flip it upside down. It's 1 over 4, 1/4. Then I can do my multiplication. Okay? It's really important. You got to remember that. You only change this part of the problem. You change the symbol, and you take the reciprocal of what's behind the symbol, behind the division sign. All right, so let's look at our notes, what we're going to add to our notes. Okay? I want you to write down, either on a new sheet or underneath where you were working on this part, dividing by a fraction. These were the notes we took for that. Your next set should say dividing a fraction by a whole number. Okay? On this one, we're just going to show the shortcut. Okay? 1/2 divided by 3 is going to be 1/2 times 3 over 1. And I'm going to underline that we changed the symbol and we took the reciprocal. And I'm going to write reciprocal down again. Reciprocal of, whoops. Oh, I did that wrong, guys. Hang on. I'm taking the reciprocal of 3 over 1. The reciprocal is 1/3. Sorry about that. You might make sure you're doing this in pencil. Okay? 1/2 divided by 3 is equal to 1/2 times 1/3, which is going to equal 1 over 6. Okay? So let's do another one. let's do 3/5 divided by 7. Okay? So in this one, same thing. The 3/5 doesn't change. Whatever's in front of the symbol, the division symbol, doesn't change. I leave it just like it is. But I'm going to change my symbol from division to multiplication. And then this would have been 7/1. So if I flip it upside down and take the reciprocal of it, 7/1, the reciprocal is 1/7. And then I do my multiplication. 3 times 1 is 3, and 5 times 7 is 35. Okay? All right. You need to be familiar with both types of problems. A whole number divided by a fraction divided by a whole number.